trust you had a great day today. Happy Friday. All right, today is day 22 of our 30-day wealth challenge with James Olokesusi. Right here once again, bringing value to you as usual. And it was fantastic today at our WIP program, Wealth Impartation Program. The first edition, and at Ijai's, it was fantastic. And in fact, the program began to spur us up or spur me up in the reality of scaling because I spoke about scaling, a lot of individuals, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of organizations, large organizations, mid to large organizations, begin to see the need that each individual needs to understand the place of scaling. And because of that, we're going to come up with a course in that regard. Very soon, probably next week or upper week, we're going to launch that course on scaling so that you can take part in it because what you learn, what you know determines how far you go. What seems to be as if it's not working in your life requires knowledge, and when you get the right knowledge, it will grow. So your growth is taught because um, of the difference in knowledge. When the right knowledge is in place, you will grow. So growth, knowledge is like a fuel to growth. So and if you don't, you can change without growing, but you can't grow without changing. So if you want to grow, you need to change. So make adequate change in that regard. So we are hoping that we'll get that. So we had a fantastic day today, and you trust you had a fantastic day as business. Trust you are good. So today I want to talk about growing in business or growth in your business. Growing in your business. I'm so much fascinated with this scaling thing that I see that before I talk about scaling, we need to talk about growth because growth talks about a progressive productivity, a progressive state of productivity. That means you are moving from either you did 5 million turnover last year, this year you are doing 6 million turnover. Is a progressive. Why scaling has to do with an exponential, astronomical productivity, whereby you did 5 million last year, or this year you want to 10x by doing 50 million next year. That's what scaling is. And everybody can scale. It's not as much as it's about the capacity. It's about mindset. It's about capacity. So once you build the right capacity, you're going to scale. But before I begin to talk about scale later on, not today, but I'll talk about growth today. How do you grow in your business? What does growth have to do with your business? How do you begin to picture growth in your business? Because first of all, what do we characterize as growth? Because growth is not accidental. Growth in business is not accidental. It's something that is intentional. As a matter of fact, it is intentional. Is a calculated bridge between your present reality and your future desire or desired future. Is a calculated bridge. Is a calculated bridge between your present reality and your future desire or desired future. When they call it bridge, we talk about the bridge is what takes you there. What takes you to your future is a calculated bridge. That shows that you need to measure it out. You need to look at what do I need to do that takes me. What do I need? Let me tell you, before begin to talk about growth, you need to talk about goal. Because one thing that helps your growth to be measurable and to eat the sport is when you have goal. The first you have to set up the goal. And we can say goal can be goal also will not jump at you. It's something that is designed. Goal can be a navigation tool that shows the gap between where you are and where you must be. It shows the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Because you are making, let's say, you are making 10 million turnover already, and you want to make um 15 million turnover next year. That means as we are now, we are making 10 million turnover already. You are going to grow or go to the goal of 15 million turnover next year. Or you did 10 million last year, you want to do 15 million this year. So if your goal is to hit 15 million. So is that navigation tool. It helps you to optimize your ability towards the future. It helps you because as the moment your goal is, your eyes is set on the future, you begin to ask some questions. You know, some questions like, what are you doing now that will take you to that future? Or what is it that you are doing now that may stall you or make you stagnant? Then you begin to figure out how to measure, how to really analyze things or measure things around you or that you're doing that you can improve on and you can multiply. What are you doing now that you can improve on or multiply to achieve your goal? See, these are, I think I'm not sounding too much analytical. I want to make it so practical as possible so that you can understand that growth in your business is calculated, is intentional, is something you have to design, is something you have to be practical about. I want to grow in my business. Everybody wants to grow in their business. Everybody is looking for a way to grow. Then haven't understood that you need to grow. Then set a goal. Then when you set a goal, then that goal will force upon you to take responsibility on what you need to do to achieve that goal. Okay, let's set the growth path or the goal path. The pathway to be. The first thing is that what exactly do you want to achieve? What exactly do you want to achieve next year? What exactly do you want to see come to pass? Concerning your business. How many clients are you looking at? Okay, let's begin to measure it probably in money. Let's measure it in time. How long is it going to take? How much do you need? What is the revenue? Or better still, the numbers of people you are looking at, or the levels of reach. Probably you are working on social media through Facebook or the likes of that. What is the level? I want to reach 10,000 people. I want to reach 50,000 people. This year I've been able to reach 8,000. Next year I want to reach about 5,000 people. So what is the exact outcome you are desiring? That's where goal works. So growth, your goal will force on you the growth. Because now you can see the exact future. Then that begins to tell you that what are those things you need to be doing on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis that drives you towards that goal. And that's the way growth begins to emerge. Because you need to begin to look at your skill set. You need to begin to look at your knowledge base. You need to begin to look at your social network. Begin to look at your leverage. You look at how do you need to grow towards that goal. Your growth is, your goal is what determines how much you need to grow. If you are making 10 million already. If you need to make 15 million, that means you need to do some things that will make you do better than what you're doing next year and this year. What you did last time. But if you are still doing the same thing that you were doing last year, you will get the same results. So you need to take responsibility for what you need to do. So you have to begin to analyze that what am I doing now? What do I need to really take away from what I'm doing that can stall me, that can make me remain at a point? So these are the questions you need to ask, and these are the things you begin to think about. What do I need to do? What are the exact things I'm aiming for? And how do I begin to do things on a daily basis that will take me to that goal? What are those things? Because let me tell you, your goal is, your version of you now cannot attract that goal until you grow. So until you grow, nothing grows. It is the growth in you that determines the growth around you. It is the growth in you that determines the growth around you. Like I've always said, you should work harder on yourself than you work on the job. If you want to grow, if you want the business to grow, you need to know some other things. You need to begin to shift in your mindset, shift in knowledge, begin to upgrade your knowledge towards that goal. Let me tell you, there's nothing impossible for man. If a man could go to the moon, now as we speak now, the astronauts, they are at the moon from America and Canada. They are at the moon. They are beginning to study the moon and lots of that. And they are coming back very soon. See, if a man could think of going out of the space of this earth, let's come to think about it. Let's go back to the medieval days in Africa. Could any Africa, even till date, could any African country could have thought that they could go to the moon? Because we have not conceived it. This is a project that cost them almost about $30 billion or more. Now, Somebody used $30 billion to go to the space. That $30 billion is enough to build Dangote refineries and one and a half. So, but someone used that saving to go for exploration, supported back by the country. They are not doing jamboree. They are going for research. They are exploring. And through that, that's where they get new adventure, new civilization, and new technology. That's why they begin to advance. So if you need to grow, you need to begin to explore. You need to get more exposure. You need the likes of exposure capital, intellectual capital, you know, social capital. You need to begin to work on your social capital. Begin to work on exposure capital. What are those things that forces you to believe? What are those things that will force you to believe? What are those things that you need to see other people doing it, that will make you to believe that you can do it? So that's the way it works. That's the way it works. So you can achieve whatever you desire to achieve if you believe you can achieve it. And that's why you have to really desire to grow. That is growth. We're talking about growth today, like I told you, not scale. So if you can begin to think it, can you imagine what Sam Walton did in 1962 and about 1970? The man scaled from just about 1 or 2 outlets of Walmart to almost 1,000 in about 10 years. Scaled exponentially. But now to grow, you should believe I can do it. It is possible. You have to shift to the level of your thinking. That this thing is possible. That's why you need exposure capital. You need to go to places where that can inspire you. You have to look at those who have achieved it, those who have done the same thing that will spoil your belief, those who are going to make you think that it is possible. And you have to really believe that it is possible. Whatever you did last year, you can do better this year. And you can do better next year. And that's what I believe you can do. And I believe by you understanding these things, you need to go and sit down. What is your goal? Then begin to see what are those things you need to do that will take you to your goal. What is the growth that needs to happen in you that will enhance change to happen around you. So figure out all those things and figure out how you begin to measure out every day what you are doing on a daily basis that's taking you there. What are you doing now that is just activity, getting you busy without going towards your goal. Remove those things. Begin to come out of those things and begin to focus on your goal. And you see that this year, before the end of this year, you will go to places. Think about it. So I'm so pleased to speak to you in this regard. And I believe that you should like it, subscribe to it. So the scaling course we're going to build a course around that. That's it's not going to be taught on this platform, and so that's why we're giving you growth. Scaling is going to be something that is going to be packaged in a course that you need to buy, because until you begin to buy courses, you might not be able to force upon yourself the need to take steps. Sometimes you just do a lot of things. You just watch without applying because you never paid anything. But when you begin to pay and to do courses, you will need to know that, no, I paid for this course. I need to take a step. I need to learn how to charge. I need to learn how to. It will force upon you, because we're going to be taking from different levels to general course, general level to VIP to VVIP. Different levels of people we're going to be ministering to, and we're going to be speaking to on that through that platform. So the course will be out by next week or upper week. So we're going to launch the course even as we round off this 30-day. So what we're going to be doing is courses. So we'll let you know as it goes. It's scaling. You can't afford not to scale. As a career person, you can scale your finances. As an entrepreneur, you can scale your business. As an organization, mid-level organization, you can scale your business. As even large organization, you can scale them more. You can continue to scale. The part of the joy is like a shining light that shines more and more to the perfect day. Begin to expand. Nothing stopping you. So that's what I have for you today. Watch out for our course on scaling. All right? Bye for now. Stay blessed. See you tomorrow on day 23. All right? Bye for now. Make sure you recommend this video to somebody.